Okay, continuing on in chapter 7. Sitting in your underwear is a little boring. There you go. The problem with having camping on your mind is that you can't think about anything else. Everything is sort of a blur. Commas are very useful. I heard Miss P say she is our teacher and she is very smart. She knows a lot about everything. When writing a letter, use a comma after the person's name in the greeting. Miss P continued. It was writing class. And before you sign your name at the bottom of the letter, use a comma after the closing, said Miss P. Remember to say goodbye in a friendly way. She wrote examples on the board. Your friend, comma, yours truly, comma, love, comma, see you soon, comma, sincerely, comma. No problem. Commas are cute. They look like a smile standing up. Or they could be a mustache, or the handle on an apple, or a fingernail clipping, or an elbow, or the side of a zipper if you make a bunch of them together, like this. And you can even make a rather long zipper. See, like right there. Now, we could practice writing a letter to a person next to you, said Miss P, interrupting my concentration. Remember to use commas. Flea bent over our desk so that I couldn't see what she was writing. She wrote so furiously, she sounded like a pencil factory. In fact, the entire class sounded like a pencil factory. I sank into my chair. I squeezed my eyes shut and wished with all my might that I was a superhero self. Firecracker Man. He could blast out of writing class in a shower of sparks and gunpowder, but I couldn't, and Flea just kept on writing. So there was nothing else for me to do but load up my commas and fire away. Okay, before I read on, look at them right there. Okay, so it says, Dear Flea, your breath smells like black licorice, comma, 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 comma. To my nose, it is very ticklish, comma, 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 comma. So don't eat licorice when you're camping, comma, 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 comma. Or the bear will end up cramping, comma, 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 comma. Bunch of commas. With your inside feeling quite picklish, comma, comma, comma. Or exclamation, exclamation, exclamation. Can you see that? Well, okay, it's kind of bright. There you go. Miss P called Flea. Alvin's doing it all wrong. Miss P came over. She stopped. She bent over my desk. Alvin, she said. I really had it coming. Why, Alvin, cried Miss P. You've written a limerick. She sounded very pleased. So I sat up. What's a limerick? Asked Flea. A limerick is a funny poem, said Miss P. It rhymes and tells a story. I swung my feet. I kept my eyes low. I kept my hands in plain sight. I thought I had written a letter. It was the kind of letter my dad would write to my mom, except without all the commas. She had a whole collection of them on the refrigerator door. So there you go. We could have an entire lesson on limericks, said Miss P. Her eyes were sparkling like marbles in the sun. It was not a good sign. Fortunately, the recess bell rang and we all jumped out of our seats. It was a very close call. The best thing about recess is that it doesn't matter if you're having trouble paying attention in class. The best thing about recess is that it doesn't matter if you're having trouble paying attention in class. Suddenly, you are paying attention to a million things on the playground. Let's play camping, Pinky announced as soon as we got outside. Since he's the leader of the gang, he gets to say what the gang plays. The first thing we have to do is pitch a tent by a bubbling brook, said Pinky. Then we'll catch a few frogs. Then we'll make a roaring fire. And after that, we'll paddle a canoe and go fishing. Camping isn't like the games where you choose sides and someone gets left out. Everyone plays together. So we pitch in an imaginary tent on the kickball field. Then we padded our imaginary canoe and fished. So then some of us turn into bears and chase the... I'll let you see the picture. And chase the... Some of us turn into bears and chase the... Okay, hold on. The campers. Then the campers roared and chased the bears. It was terrific. Camping was not so scary at all until the girls wanted to play. Go away, said Pinky. No girls allowed. That's discrimination, said Esha. It's not, said Sam. We're just camping. That's not camping, said Sarah Jane. No one camps on asphalt, said Ophelia. Then the girls began to giggle. People camp in the woods, said Flea, pointing to the bird sanctuary at the edge of the playground. The gang turned and stared. Usually no one goes there except to do a class project with the art teacher or science teacher. It is a little scary. We knew that, said Pinky. We were just warming up. Right, guys? Silence. Then before I knew it, everyone was running toward the bird sanctuary. When we got there, the girls ran right in, but the boys stopped. It wasn't as bad as it looked from a distance. There were trees, a little breeze, and birds chirping, but it was kind of dark in there. What are the boys waiting for? The girl's voice drifted out. Maybe they're scared, said another. Then they giggled. That was it. The boys hurled themselves into the bird sanctuary, except for me. I'm allergic, so I stayed at the edge of the playground where I could watch everything and keep an eye out for the playground monitor, just in case. Fortunately, the boys knew everything about camping and were ready to show the girls how it's done. Pitching a tent was no problem. Nia suggested taking off their shirts and pants and tying them together to make a tent. It was brilliant. Who would have thunk it? It was a much better tent than the girls', which was only a bunch of sticks leaning against a tree like a teepee. There, the girls are kind of laughing. I don't know if you can see that. Is that too bright? There you go. Okay. It's called a lean-to, said Flea. I learned it at camp. You mean a bean-to? Asked Pinky. Looks like you're all waiting for beans to grow up the pole. Pinky was right. A bunch of sticks isn't a tent at all. Bet you can't make a fire, said Jules, who was playing on the girls' side. Bet you can't either, said Hobson. Then everyone rushed around gathering sticks and leaves and pieces of wood for the fire. It was the boys against the girls. But starting a fire was harder than rubbing two sticks together. It was even harder than using a magnifying glass, which no one has. So the boys used Eli's glasses, which were good for nothing, not even for inspecting ants. Nothing worked. It was a good thing the girls' fire didn't work either. And sitting around in your underwear in front of an imaginary fire is a little boring. So Pinky said, why didn't they climb trees? Girls can't climb as good as boys, he yelled. Look at them sitting there in their underwear on the tree. And all their clothes are down here. And there's the lean-to, and I guess that's Alvin watching from afar because he's probably allergic to the tree. And Pinky was right. All the boys went up, much faster and higher than the girls. Come on, Alvin, shouted Sam. Climb with us. I didn't move. I have acrophobia. I couldn't join them, but watching the boys climb was almost as exciting as putting snakes in a bag. Watching the girls, however, was boring. They didn't climb very far. You win, said Flea. Yeah, said Esha. I don't like heights. Neither do I, said Ophelia. Orphelia. Oh, wait. It's for the birds, said Flea, and the boys, added Sarah Jane. Then they giggled. Worse, the bell rang. Recess was over, and because they were the losers and not very far from the ground, the girls jumped down and ran. But the boys did not. There you go. There's a picture of them. There you go. Yeah. Camping is great, said Pinky. You're lucky to be going camping with your dad, stammered Sam. You'll have a great time, said Scooter. I nodded. I sure was lucky. I was on the ground. They were high in the trees, and they were stuck. I need a bathroom, said Pinky. Me too, said Scooter. Help, yelled Eli. Help, screamed Nia. Somebody help. Let me down, shrieked Hobson. I wish that I could have helped him, but I couldn't, so I turned and ran, and I had to tell someone, fast. But when I got back inside, my mouth felt like it was full of sand. I couldn't say anything at all, and Miss P told me to take a seat. It was time for class to begin. Where are the boys? Asked Miss P. She looked around. It was strangely quiet without them. Camping, said Flea. Camping? Miss P looked puzzled. Then she looked at me. I was the only boy in the class except for maybe Jules. But no one can tell whether Jules is a boy or a girl. Jules could stand for Julian, or it could stand for Julia. I kept my hands in plain sight. I said nothing. But my eyes can talk when my mouth can't. My eyes looked out the window. Far away across the playground into the bird sanctuary, where you could almost see underwear clinging to the tops of the trees if you looked really hard. Miss P figured it out. Like I said, she's very smart, and when the fire truck from the Concord Fire Engine Company came screaming into the playground, everyone poured out of the school to watch. And I could have given the gang some advice, it would have been this. It's important to have already used the bathroom before climbing trees. And that's the end of chapter 7. And I will see you in just a few minutes here in chapter 8.